Michael and Jill are here today in the We Don't Play podcast station, and it's so great to have them here because we've met on Clubhouse and now it's about to turn into a whole new discussion, just us. And this is something that you don't get every day, so it's a pleasure to have you, Michael and Jill, in the playroom. How are you today?
We're doing great. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having us.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. This is exciting. Michael, Jill, we keep hearing about the amazing things you're doing for the community, for other people, serving them. And it's just a pleasure to know that there are people that actually care about people's, lifestyles and what they can do better. And you guys are really shining that light. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. That is so kind of you to say. We are so honored to be here and to meet you in person. This is amazing. It's like friendship next level.
Exactly, it is. And the next thing is, meeting in real life, as people say in Clubhouse, in IRL. So it's gonna be amazing. But today you are the focus, you are the stars, and I want to make sure that you can be able to help us know some more things about when it comes to digital marketing, agency building, because some people say, oh yeah, I can't work with my wife, we're not gonna work together, we're gonna bash in it. But it's like, no, if you're a team, you're a team. So it would be great to hear your story to start off, because I've never heard it, and I'd love to know your story, how you met, and how this has turned into the beautiful experience that it is today.
Yeah, so I'll just tell a kind of a brief little bit about our story. So we met senior year in college at Chico State. That's where I was from, and Jill was going to school there. We dated for that whole last year, fell in love, and we were really excited to graduate college because we were both the first people to graduate college in our family, and so that was a huge deal for both of us. And we kind of really bought into that whole, when you graduate, there will be a job waiting for you, you'll be good, there's that 60, 70K job. And so we really had it in our heads that it was kind of the finish line, so to speak. And then we went to our career fair. I don't know if you've heard of those, when you're about to graduate, they have a career fair on campus. Dude, ours was a joke.
It was terrible.
It was so bad. It was places you didn't even need a degree to get a job at. And I'm like,
wow.
These places, I know that I could go get a job immediately, right now. Why did I pay, $40,000, $50,000 was this, what was at the end of it? So we were both really discouraged. I can literally remember we had to park off campus, about a mile and a half away. And I was in a suit and she was in a really nice dress because we thought we were going to professional interviews.
Right.
And it was 100 degrees, Chico heat. And we were both just what are we going to do?
We were pretty discouraged.
Yeah, we were just we don't, because that was our plan. That was plan 1 and 2 and 3. We didn't have a backup plan. And so after we graduated, she was working 4 part-time jobs, teaching dance, being an administrator. I was working 2 jobs, early in the morning, late at night. And we were just we can't keep doing this long term. We're already burnt out after 3 months. We can't do this for 40, 50 years. And so we were well, we want to spend all of our time together. That's why we've been in a relationship. That's what we're about. So why don't we start a business together? And so this was 6 years ago.
Right after we got married.
Right after we got married. Literally right after we got married, went on we didn't even go on a honeymoon actually, because we said that the money we took from our wedding, we were going to use to start our business instead of going on a honeymoon. So we knew nothing about business. It was such a mess. So it was a t-shirt company, but we learned a little bit, we learned about Shopify, we learned about marketing. What it really did was it forced us to get books and introduce us to educate our own learning. And so it really got us into self-education, which is what we needed. So that business ended up not working out. It wasn't really our passion. All of the businesses up until now, I really think we could have been successful in. Our heart wasn't really in them. So the t-shirt business was great. We made good money, but we'd be oh, we got to go do a show, or oh, we got to, create social media.
Right.
And those were kind of our red flags that we weren't really enjoying what we were doing. And so then we started another business. We were in network marketing for a while. Didn't enjoy the business model, but really enjoyed the association. That's when we got introduced into personal growth and development, which was really the turning point for us, was, really investing in ourselves. That's when we learned the value of investing in yourself, in courses, getting around good people, solid foundations, things like habits. And so we learned all of these different things in business that eventually like we were like, okay, what are you good at? What am I good at? And so Jill's really good at the branding, the social media, because the jobs that she had up until this point were she did huge social media marketing for huge campaigns. Okay. What was I good at? Well, I was really good at building other people's businesses, you know, from the ground up to 7 figures. You know, I did it for multiple businesses. So I was like, well, okay, well, like what could we build that like combines all of that? And we had a friend's like, why don't you start a digital marketing agency? Like, everything you're describing is what a digital marketing agency offers. And we're like, oh, cool. And so we started that, and we really just fell in love with the clients that we work with, the day-to-day activities. We don't look at it as like a drag. We wake up invigorated, like getting on Clubhouse, say, and you know, answering questions and offering value. It's not a chore for us. Like the t-shirt business kind of felt like it was. It's more of a like, I get it to get up and serve people, kind of like you were talking about in the intro. So it feels more of like a calling and a purpose, and less like a job or a hassle.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to that. Like as we were building these businesses, we were both still working full-time in corporate. So this is 6 years of like hustle, late nights, like no sleep. I was driving an hour and back to work, so it was a 2-hour commute every day. And we started the Market Vibe in July 2019. We remember it was July 4th here in the States, and we were like, what are we doing? And we kind of drew a line in the sand, and we were like, this is what we're going with, this is what we're doing, we're going to stick with it. And I had started a new job, and I was just on like a temporary contract, and in September they decided not to renew it. So I was like, okay, this is God kind of hitting me with a 2x4, like go into your business. You've been speaking self-employment for a long time, and Michael and I talked about it, and you really gave me the green light. He was like, just do it, like let's go for it. So we just decided to run with it, and that's kind of brought us here. Like obviously 2020 was incredibly difficult, but we survived it, we made it through, and that's kind of like where we are today.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. It's like you talk about like being an entrepreneur and like stepping out on faith. It would have been very easy for like us as a couple to say like, okay, like the smart choice is for you to go out, get another job. Like that's like the safe bet. But you know, the entrepreneur, like the gutsy person's like, no, like this is the like sign for you to stay home and for us to like really take seriously like what we really love. And so I was just like, okay, well, let's just figure out a way to make it happen. And so, you know, like there's always a way. Like if you're willing to do something as an entrepreneur, I feel like there's always a way. So we cut back unnecessary spending, things like that. And she really went all in on our business. And like she said, I've only been full-time for like a month and a half now. So this whole 6 years, like it's been 5 years and like 11 months since like I did that. Like she talked about long nights, like we would go to like business meetings and get home at midnight, and I'd go to work at 3 a.m.
Whoa.
So I'd get like 2.5 hours of sleep, and I would do that like on the regular. And so it's like, that's like the kind of stuff, yeah, for 6 years just to be able to like, so it's like now I don't even really know how to act because I'm free now. And it's like, wait, I can sleep when I want. Like if I want to take a nap after this podcast, hold up, I can take a nap. Like I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm still kind of like adjusting because I was so used to that 6 year, like I'd wake up at 2:30, I'd go to work from 3 to noon, I would come home, I'd shower from 1 to 6, like we'd record videos, work on the business, eat dinner, go to sleep. Like I did that like cycle for 6 years.
That's deep.
So that's our story.
Yeah.
till this point.
Wow. Because all that you've said is just, it's real. It's really something people are like, I want to be an entrepreneur, but they think, okay, now you have to give up this, you have to give up that. And you've literally shown how you've transcended, you've morphed, you've adapted, you've really built something from nothing, and you've now built it into a fortitude that someone can say, wow, I like that establishment, I like that culture, I like that brand, I like those people, you know, because now you've actually built that likability, and it's built along with the relationship. We all know about the no like trust factor. And now because you're also out there, it also allows them to feel vulnerable as well, to now express themselves and give you those things that allow you to really understand where they're coming from, where they are, and then put that perspective into your business and see where can you take them to. And that's really the difference, because when I hear like the Market Vibe, I feel like I want to go to like a cocktail party on a Sunday or brunch, you know, just with people hanging out and chilling. It's a vibe, but we know why we're here. We know the purpose, and that's community. So it's great how this story has now turned into this amazing business, because a lot of people don't do that after the wedding. They go straight to the islands. They go straight to the cruise ship. But you guys are like, no, we have a business, we have a focus, and that's a beautiful thing to see, because now it's paying off. Now you can go to any place you want to travel to. You can take a nap, you can go out, you know. So I would love to know about the market vibe and how that took place, because like you said, you were also working corporate. So the time to build the time to actually say, okay, I'm going to work on this marketing plan, then I'm going to execute this strategy, and then I'm going to onboard a client. That procedure, was it a process, or was it something that really just happened naturally?
Yeah, I think it was a process. So honestly, the name came about because we couldn't figure out a name, and this is one.
Michael's very picky. Well, not picky.
I'm picky, but I'm also really bad when it comes to picking names. So we actually just took a bunch of words and put it into a name generator, and the market vibe came out as like the top choice. And I was like, okay, this feels like destiny, because it just felt like it was so us too, because like, yes, we're a marketing agency, and like, yes, we have knowledge and expertise, but we're also fun, and like, you see our Instagram and like, you see how we are. So I felt like it encapsulated us as people. Like you said, a cocktail party, because we're much more likely, if we ever had like an event or something where people were going to learn, it'd much likely be a cocktail party or something like that, right, than like a stuffy business conference. It's just who we are. Right. And so the name fit perfectly. As far as like what it looked like while I was building a job, it was really a lot like the Gary Vaynerchuk, where he talks about like, you know, you do your 9 to 5 and then you come home, and from 6 to 2 a.m. is like, you know, your business's time. My hours were a little bit different, but that's very much what it looked like. So we would book meetings if people needed both of us, only in the afternoons. If we were onboarding a client, it would be in the afternoon or on a day when I was off. You know, as far as learning everything, it just looked like, I mean, God bless the job I had before I quit. I was able to get a lot of my work done on Monday, Tuesday. So I'd have a lot of like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as like kind of like downtime. And I would use it to learn. I'd be on YouTube learning about digital marketing. I would be buying courses, taking the courses on like, here's how you do Facebook ads. I'd be, you know, networking with people that are like big agency marketing, be like, hey, you know, I'm just starting. Like, what are some tips and tricks? Like, I literally spend 2 to 3 hours every day just learning, like continuing to learn, whether it's like reading or studying like digital marketing trends and things like that. Because it's really, really important for me personally, to never forget the things that got me to where I am now. And it's the constant like learning. It's the commitment to just like excellence. Like, I'm a type A person, so very like detailed. So like just to the details, the habits, the consistency, and like really over 6 years, that's what got us here. And so I never want to forget that kind of stuff. And so really sticking to kind of those core habits.
Yeah, and I'll just add, like, you know, I had been doing this ever since I got out of college. I was working with brands on their social media, on their marketing. I was head of the marketing team for a couple different companies. So I'd been doing this, but now I had the freedom to actually research what I wanted to research. A lot of the companies that I worked for kind of handcuffed me, and like the ability to like really get the reach that I knew was out there, that I knew the potential was there, but I just, you know, it wasn't my business, so I couldn't make the call. So now it was like, okay, now we have the ability to learn and test, you know, growth hacking and things like that on our personal stuff, and then apply it to our clients. So that was really where the flexibility came. But we're just forever students. Like, we're always learning. We're always like, and that's one thing you have to remember as an entrepreneur. If you're not learning anything, you're in the wrong room. You have to get into another room where you're the dumbest or the least smart person in the room, because that means that you have more to glean from. You can learn from people who've done it before. Even recently, we reached out to someone who's very similar story, way ahead of us, and we were like, will you please mentor us? Can you please help us? Because we've hit this new level, and we're like, oh my gosh, we need somebody to guide us. So it's always just seeking to understand, to learn, and finding people who've done it, who've done the same thing.
Well, I mean, a good example is like Pinterest. I just took everything that I learned from like you and Suman And I think last time I looked, our monthly impressions is at 260,000 or something like that.
Yeah, from what you talked
Wow.
about.
And so it's like you like understand that like you don't have to be an expert at everything, but if you look around, there's experts everywhere at everything. So like it's just humbling yourself and realizing like, hey, I could really learn. And that's why you hear that the whole 2 ears, 1 mouth thing.
Yeah.
Like that's why you don't hear me honestly on Clubhouse talk a lot, because I'm listening, I'm taking notes. Like she gets like so mad at all the notebooks I have like laying everywhere. Like she made me get this huge cubby to keep them all in, because I'm just constantly learning. Because like, hey, I can get better at Pinterest. Like I can get better at LinkedIn. Like not everybody knows everything. And so I think if you're always constantly learning, and you hear that 1% better every single day, I think that's a really good mantra to live by.
Yeah, I think so too, because when we start thinking too hard about the technical stuff, we forget about the actual fun, creative process that really makes us actually do what we want to do in the first place. So that's why Pinterest, it's a positive place, people are enjoying, they like to see these things, because if you can feed them that, you're helping someone's day, you're helping someone smile. Somebody's probably going through something. We don't know what anybody's going through because we can't tell. So when we do these things, genuinely the right people come to us, and that's really what builds that community. And I love that you're building it out that way. When you mention luxury into the market vibe, into the brand, how do you define luxury for someone who hasn't experienced luxury?
Such a good question.
Hey, you want to go first or you want me to?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll go
You
first.
go first.
Okay, so most people think of luxury and they think of price. And while price is part of it, I think there's 2 other main parts. And the first part is like the ingredients, or like what's in it. And so I think of like, we have a client who, she has a friend who just sent us a candle because we told her that we burned a Bath and Body candle, and she was like, absolutely not. She's like, it has chemicals in it. She's like, I'm going to send you, I have a friend in LA who's got like these candles. Like, Favor, you should see this candle. This thing is
so beautiful.
Nice. Like the packaging it came in, we'll do it on our stories or we'll send it to you. Okay. Like it was luxury. Everything from unpackaging it, like the actual box, to opening that box, to pulling it out, to lighting it, what it looks like. It's all luxury. And so like from that standpoint, but also then it becomes a fact of like customer service is my number one thing. So like when we're a luxury agency, like yes, we perform all of the services that like a digital marketing agency does, but the difference is like you're not one in like a buffet line of many different, like I'm not going to sign you and then I'm going to sign 13 more clients this week. I signed 6 clients and then we're done. And then people go on a wait list. So like you can rest assured that like we're not overloaded with extra work. Like we've meticulously figured out that 6 is the number that we can give the luxury and exemplary service that we want to give to our clients. You get our 4 phone numbers, so our personal numbers and our BAT phone numbers, because that's what we call our work phones. You get direct access to us. So it's very like, it's a very serious thing. Like someone can text Jill at 11 o'clock and say, hey, I know we have this going for tomorrow. Can we change this on our social media? And she will immediately answer and be like, yes. That's luxury to us.
Yeah. And I'd say to add, I think luxury is really an experience. And I think it's not about, I think people confuse like old luxury with like status and not treating people the best. And the best way I can describe this is remember that TikTok I showed you? That was like going into the different designer stores. And you go into like Dior and they just pamper you. They don't care what you look like. You go into Chanel and they're like, get out of here. And then you go to Hermes and they're like, what do you want? So I think, unfortunately, like, yes, it's a quality of the good, but I think it's also the experience. You know, what kind of experience are you giving your customers and your clients? Like the candle that we were sent, it was an experience opening it. We felt so special. We felt like she transported us because it's an Armenian company. So she brought her culture in. She totally transported us and gave us this lovely experience where we were excited about the product. So I think it's finding that emotion and then rolling that into your product experience and giving somebody the best possible quality that you ever can. And I think, just like Michael said, that also stems from the customer service and client relations, that it's the whole entire process makes you feel like you're special, you're cared about, and that this company really values your dollar. Because people vote with their dollar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a fact. Like, they're going to vote for either McDonald's or they're going to vote for Burger King. So you want to give, like, that's a terrible example, but you want to give, like, the best experience so that they say, I like you, I want you to stay in business. And I think remembering that is a good place too, to stay grounded. Like, people could choose to not work with me. If they're not going to work with me, why is that? How can I change that? How can I make it so I am the go-to, like, easy decision, if that makes sense?
And also being okay with, like, you not being for everybody. Like, we've said no to plenty of people, and people have said no to us, and it's cool. It's not a big deal. Like, I think that's where a lot of business owners is, they get into that scarcity mindset of, like, this is the one person in front of me, like, I gotta, like, we've actually said no to more people than we've said yes to. And I think that gets into a lot of stuff like pricing and like mindset and things like that. But I just think, like, being comfortable with, like, figuring out, like, the best way to position yourself without necessarily selling. Because, I mean, if you, like, think about on Clubhouse, like, Favor, how many times have you heard Jill or I sell on Clubhouse? Probably never, honestly, because we don't. And we don't really sell on our Instagram either. Like, we understand that people aren't dumb. They understand the product and service you have to offer. It's right there on your Instagram. Like, it's right there on your Clubhouse. Like, you don't need to tell them. Like, you just need to show them that you're a nice person that's knowledgeable in what you do, and they'll figure out the rest if they vibe with you. Yeah. And I think that's where we've gotten really good at that. And then just kind of just being really, like, kind of casual about it, not, you know, getting upset if people go with other people, or, you know, like, Jill gets really sick and life throws us curveballs, or, you know, stuff like that. It's just, we've gotten really good over the past 6 years of just kind of rolling with the entrepreneurial punches.
I love that, because the two things that stood out to me when you both mentioned this was staying in business and mindset. Because when you're staying in business and someone is paying for your business to enjoy the experience, they're not only thinking about themselves, they're also thinking about how well you can perform to give them that delivery that they actually need or expect as a goal setting. So when you think about that, and then you think about the mindset, and then you add imposter syndrome to it, when people can't really post or know what to post, or wonder what people will think when they post. As a business, do they have to worry about those things, or do they have to channel their mindsets in a way that you can be able to give them that experience that will help them to change their paradigm shifts?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, because everything is how you look at it. So you could look at someone ahead of you and you could say, I'll never get there, or you could experience imposter syndrome, or you could look at it as a positive of, that person's just a little bit further ahead of me because they've put in a little bit more time and work. So that's cool. I know that it's possible. Like, so everything is just how you look at it. Mm-hmm. I really think that is mindset stuff. It's really, really hard. And I mean, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're perfect. Like, we have negative mindset stuff happen daily, like, all the time. But I think that's writing it down, like, really being grounded in, like, what your plan is. I think when you're being consistent and doing the things that you know you're supposed to do in business, I think you experience less of that. I think when you're not being consistent, when you're not doing the things that you know, the foundational stuff of running your business, I think that's when imposter syndrome creeps up a lot more, because it's like cracks in your armor when you're not being consistent, when you're not, you know, having a solid morning routine. I honestly think those are the things that really, most business owners, they end up failing is stuff like that, rather than like, oh, you don't have the right Pinterest backlink strategy to be able to da-da-da-da-da. I think it's really just comes down to, like, people let imposter syndrome or confidence or lack of habits or mindset issues really affect their business more than anything else.
Yeah, I think for me, what's really helped me with imposter syndrome is I just turned it around. Instead of saying like, this person is further ahead than me, they've achieved this and I haven't, I've turned it around and said, okay, this person has done this, that means that I can do it too. That's how I turn it around. Like, if we see someone in our industry who's doing something, it's like, okay, so that's the potential. That's where we can go. We can go there too. That's been one of the things that's been really helpful for me with imposter syndrome, is seeing it as like a challenge and seeing it as somebody is raising the bar. And it's like, okay, so we have even that much more further to go or to grow or to even jump to. If, you know, it's something for you to aim at. That's what I like to think of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't believe there's anything I can't do. Like I'll just keep doing stuff and like trying new things until someone tells me like I can't. Like I don't know. It's just like we're always trying to, and I know this kind of drives her crazy. So this is like the differences. So I'm the one that's always trying to innovate and change, and she's the one that doesn't like change. And so like you'll see like on her Instagram, like things are always like, changing, always, and she's like, oh my gosh. And so, but it's like I'm always like we're always trying to figure out new ways to do things, because like I don't know, it just gets boring doing the old way of doing things. And I think there's some level too, like the more saturation there is, like the more you have to like try different things like that, like doing like reels within carousels or doing multi, lives, repurposing to like just like stuff that like people aren't doing, because then I think whether it works or not, people stop and they say, oh, that person's doing something different. And that at least gets you noticed on some sort of level. And then from there, that kind of gets people into your ecosystem.
Yeah. And to really answer your question, if somebody is like feeling imposter syndrome and they're like, I have no idea where to start, I don't know what to post. And it's really easy to look at somebody else's content and be like, okay, this is working for them, I'm going to post that too. But really 2020 changed marketing forever, because there was a flood of people online. There were so many businesses started in 2020 that now the competition is so high, and people are smart. Like the old school marketing tactics that maybe worked in early 2000s don't work anymore, because we've seen them so many times. We are smart beings, like even though sometimes we get dumb, but we are smart and we understand when we're being marketed to. So I think if you're stuck on where to get started, I think you need to figure out, what it is that makes you special, because only you have your story. You have a unique set of circumstances and experiences that no one else has, which gives you your own unique perspective on life and business or whatever it is that you're teaching on. So just start to teach. Like just like Michael said, what are the things that you're good at, that you know about? What can you teach? What can you help somebody do? That's really, I think, would be a good place to start if you have no idea what to post, or if you're feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I mean, having a mentor too is really, really great. That was paramount for us. It kind of helps you when you're feeling those feelings like that, having someone that you can go to who's a safety net, who you can just say, hey, like I'm struggling today. Like I saw this person's Instagram and immediately I thought like, God, why am I not there yet? Because we had that, and we still continue to have that. Like I think no matter like whether you're like the very beginner or even like there's a reason like people like Warren Buffett to still have mentors. Like who do you think needs mentors more, Warren Buffett or like me? Probably me. So that kind of thing. So I really think that was one of the key things. Is it's easy to feel like great and everything when you're on a business high, when you're making money and everything, but when you're not and you're experiencing like a down or like something really bad happens, like you need that person to be able to just go to, because then you can turn around and like now it's really cool to see we're that for people now. Like it was weird. Someone asked me to mentor them and I almost didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Like it was so,
really
it's crazy though, because like that's all I wanted when we first started in business, because I was like, I'm a mess. And then to have someone now turn around and like ask me to do that was like, holy cow, like that's so cool. So it's just so important. Like Jill said, and then just having positive people in your life too.
That's beautiful, because I think at this point it's all about the relationship and what you leave behind and how you impact them, because they'll come back and expect that same thing or even more because of how you were able to just give yourself freely and be that at their service, really, and that way they'll actually feel like they're welcome. Because some people, they may pay an arm and a leg, but they may not get the same experience from somebody else who has something that's so strategic that can really help them see better and not feel overwhelmed at the same time. Yeah, this is great to actually think about, because now that I'm thinking about this, what comes to my mind is, how do the relationships you have with the clients affect your relationships together?
Such a good question.
That is a good one. Go ahead. You
okay,
go first.
I will go. It definitely took us some time to get into our flow, because we're not only business partners, we're married. So that's like a whole other level of marriage that I think a lot of people won't experience, is working together. But we always see it as like, it's us and our client versus the problem. So if there's ever like a problem, like we always kind of attack it in that sense. And same way with us. If there's like a problem between us, we're like, okay, it's us against the problem, not us against each other. So that's kind of a mindset that we were taught by some mentors of us that we've carried pretty much into everywhere, every single, issue or conflict that we've ever gone into. But honestly, the relationship has been great because we really collaborate together. And I think our clients love that they get two people to really help them with strategy and to really help them with what their goals are. Because Michael and I have such different strengths, we bring, two different perspectives to the table. And it's really been great for us because, like I said, Michael is so like innovative and strategic and so forward thinking, and I'm more about like details and executing and a little bit more creative. So like us together, we've become this like power duo where we can just like full blaze ahead, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think of like the client we just did like onboarding with. So she was more type A.
She's a lot like Michael.
So it was her and us because we met her down in LA, and so we like went to lunch, and it was her and me just going back. Okay, yeah, cool, like love that idea. Type
like
A.
This.
And her and she knew like, okay, I'm gonna sit in the background because like they're both type A's, and so like that's the kind of stuff is because like yeah, it seems really great, and like you think like, oh, you guys are a powerhouse. It's almost like unfair, like you two against like everybody else. But I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to deal with like the problems that we have to deal with, where it's like, yo, we live together and are married and running a business together, and we're completely different. I wake up early, she sleeps in. I go to sleep early, she stays up late. Like we have all of these issues that like, yeah, it may seem great, like there's two of us with like all of these skills and knowledge, but we had a lot of stuff and still do that we have to overcome, that like a single business owner, you don't have to consult anybody when you make a decision except your dang self. Like I have to consult her, she has to consult me, we have to come to a decision together. Right. So it's a whole different beast. So I always like to let people know when they say like, oh, you guys make it look so easy, or like, like da 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 da. I always like to let people know like, thank you, like I really appreciate that, but like I almost wish I could like teleport people back like 3 years ago to like when we weren't making very much money and we were arguing all the time. Because like I would like people to see that, just to see like, hey, like it takes a lot of work. Because like we're talking about business work right now, but it was also a lot of like marriage, relationship growth too. Because like here, I'm gonna sit here and tell you, like if your marriage or relationship or whatever it is, like with your business partner too, isn't solid, like your business will never be, like it'll never be successful. Like you can't have like a dysfunctional personal relationship and then try and run a business together and it be successful. It just, in my opinion, it just won't work.
It's interesting too, because we've met a lot of people who have met us and they're extremely cynical of our situation.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, do you
or they're like, I'd kill my husband if I worked with him or something like that.
Or I've done it and it doesn't work, or we've been divorced or whatever. And like, not saying that we're like, you can't get divorced. Like y'all live your life, do your own thing. Like, but for us, we always put our marriage first. That's one thing that we're in our relationship first. We've always put that as number one. That's always been the thing that we focus on the most. If there's a problem in business, there might be a problem in relationships. So we always like check in there. It's a lot of dropping egos and, really listening and really hearing each other, really making sure that we're receiving what the other one is feeling. It's definitely been a journey. And I think it's because I don't think a lot of people have done it, because it is very difficult. And like, this is 6 years of us working together, getting to know each other's work styles, each other's strengths, be there for each other's weaknesses. It's been quite a journey. And like Michael said, it's a huge compliment when people are like, you guys make it look so easy. And that's great. And it's like, I wish you guys could see like when we have like, a little tip about whatever. I just wish people could see that. And I think that's what's been so strong in our personal brand too, is like, we're real about that stuff. We are like, hey, we are not perfect. We go through stuff too. So to answer your question, it really works, because if the client is more like me, that's awesome. Michael supplements, and then vice versa. So it's actually been really helpful. And I think they feel special because they're getting two people.
Oh yeah.
They get a package deal.
They get a package deal.
Oh, that's the best package deal in town. Definitely. Because you think about all the good things, you think about the psychological frameworks, the marketing. It's like you're getting amazing experiences at the same time instead of looking for two different people that's trying to do the same thing. And it just makes it easier for them because they actually trust you and they're like, yeah, they can hold their marriage, they can hold my business. So it's like that trust factor just goes all the way to another level because they can feel like you're responsible enough to take care of my business, which is my baby, and then I can be able to help you nurture it like we're also nurturing our own relationship. So it plays a really big role, and I like how you guys have put that together and really built it out from scratch. And now people are looking at you and they want that for themselves too. So now they think, okay, as an entrepreneur, I have to think about an agency format. I got to think about how much am I getting in? What's my balance sheet looking like? Do I have a marketing plan? It gets really technical at that point. So now
Yes.
when someone's thinking about being an entrepreneur and also starting a marketing agency or digital marketing agency, where should they focus on the pivot rather than just focusing on the workload?
Such a good question.
Interesting. Well, I always say, here's the problem I see with a lot of people who ask me like that are starting an agency, whether it's on Clubhouse or in back chats, is that they think that they have to do everything. So like I have to do Facebook ads, web design, branding, like, the whole like echelon of everything. And I think it's much better to just start with like the one or two things that you're like really good at. So like we had one girl, she's like, I want to start a digital marketing agency. She's like, so I'm thinking of like doing all of these things. I was like, okay, you could do that. Like, but what one are you like, or two are you really good at? She's like, I'm really good at social media marketing and branding. I was like, cool, offer those then and start from there. I think what happens is too often, it's kind of like you alluded to, like people go too far down the rabbit hole. And I was completely guilty of this when we first started our marketing agency. I got like a couple of digital marketing agency courses just to learn about like the structure of a digital marketing agency, kind of all of that, because we knew how to do like social media marketing and all that, but just to kind of learn like the agency stuff. And I mean, I went down like the rabbit hole to the point where like it actually kept me from like starting and doing the things that I knew that I needed to do. And so I think that's the biggest problem is like, just pick like the one or two things as an agency that you want to offer at the beginning. Like figure out where you are in the echelon of pricing. So I always like to say, are you more of like a beginner or are you more of like on the advanced level side? Price yourself accordingly, and then really get into the marketing plan for your business, because that's where you need to spend your time. Because if you're not marketing your services, like it's just crickets. So like what 1 to 2 platforms are you going to be on? I always like to say SEO and trending. So like a Pinterest and an Instagram, or a YouTube and a TikTok, like 2 that make sense, so that you've got some place where you can always like have your forever content, but then some place where you can grow right off the bat and get business. So like Clubhouse is great right now. I'm telling all of our clients pretty much, like get on Clubhouse, because it's really is easy business, because the know, like, and trust is there. They hear you talk in real time. The expertise is great. They go to Instagram. So I think really just find those 1 or 2 things, keep it simple, find maybe like a simple course or somebody, I really think someone to mentor you. I used to be scared of asking for that. Now I realize that we're further along. There's plenty of people that are more than willing to mentor people. You just have to ask. So I say get a mentor, pick 1, 2 things you're good at, and then figure out your marketing plan would be my best advice. What about you, Ben?
I mean, you said everything I was going to say.
Oh, cool. Marriage. Yeah, I mean, it's just people make it way too hard. They go down that rabbit hole, and then they spend 6 months in like the research phase, and then they get scared because now that it's been so long, like that whole where you should do it, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets to do the thing, because the fear becomes more paralyzing.
Mm-hmm.
Like just if it's just social media marketing, just do social media marketing. Like you can still be an agency and just do social media marketing. There are plenty of agencies that do that. I think it's when people get into trouble is they think they have to offer all of the things. The only reason that we do is because when we first started, we only had 3 or 4 things. And as we were doing those really well, we were learning how to do Facebook ads. We were learning how to do all of the other stuff so that we could eventually be an agency that offered those if our clients needed it.
Nice. I like that. And you also mentioned Clubhouse, and you touched on it, because a lot of businesses and brands and B2B, B2C, they've not really utilized Clubhouse. Like we're now really getting into Clubhouse really heavy based on strategy and what people are doing. But when you think about it from brand deals and from a corporate level or from a business level or a creative level, how can we use Clubhouse in a way that can really help those brand deals have a better exposure with a faster click-through rate, where they can really be able to understand their audience and play a role as being part of the community as a social responsibility?
Yeah, well, I mean, Michael has said this before, but Clubhouse is amazing because social audio is one of the highest levels of authenticity. And I know authenticity is thrown around a lot, but really, how can you can hear somebody talking live with their voice? The next best thing is seeing them in person. So you can really get a feel of who this person is. You can kind of feel out, because people are smart. You can feel if there's something off, or you can feel if these people are, good people, or who they say they are. Like when we met you, right away we knew. We were like, okay, he knows what he's talking about. We get really good vibes. Let's connect. So I think people misunderstand that's the power of Clubhouse, really, is your chance to get out there and show sort of the base behind the brand and explain more of what your brand is about in a live setting where you're actually communicating with your ideal clients. And I mean, it's like one of the best places for market research, because we actually have clients who do town hall meetings, who ask questions, figuring out exactly what their clients want. And then they're coming back to us and they're like, okay, this is what people said that they want. And we're like, great, all right, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I think and especially a lot of, obviously like with digital products and anything like that, like we built a 6-figure side net, whatever, off of Clubhouse, just Clubhouse, like multiple 6, like, and that was without even like being on it like 24/7. That was just kind of, because remember, I still had a job too.
And without selling.
Yeah, because Jill was still, like, long story short, like, I didn't have to have a job, but Jill was still really sick. And so I had really great insurance. And so until we got, like, her medical issues figured out, like, I kept through it. But, like, that's the power of Clubhouse. I think it's people who have products, like physical products, don't understand really the power of it, because they think, well, how am I going to sell product through Clubhouse? Like, it's not, what am I going to do? Like, get maybe an order or two from somebody? But I've actually been on stages where people have pitched their product and investors have said, hey, well, could you handle an order of 20,000? And the girl was like, I can't remember what it was. It was like hair bands or beanies. That's right.
Beanies.
Custom beanies that
and he was from Disney.
Yeah. And he's like, cool, I'd love you to get on a Zoom call on Tuesday with Disney, because I think Disney would love to put those in like all of their stores and everything.
Wow.
So like, if you get on Clubhouse and you speak up about your product or service, not in a spammy way, but in a way that's like, if you have questions like, hey, I've got a great beanie. I want to figure out how to get this distributed, US wide, like, and I don't know how to do that. Like, is there anyone who can give me some advice on how to, like, that was her question. Like, she wasn't fishing for like, hey, can you like buy my beanies? She was just asking a question. The guy was like, hey, I just looked at your product. Like, those are handmade? She was like, yeah, I make them all by hand. Wow, those are really great quality. Yeah, I really, I'm really serious about the quality product. Okay, cool. Yeah, are you free Monday? Like, it was very like,
it was really
just
cool
like that. And I've seen that happen 5 or 6 times I can think of, where it's been, orders of anywhere from 50 to orders of 10,000. And I mean, like an order of 10,000 items at however much your item is, like, how much would that change your life? Like, that's 6 figures, maybe 7 figures, depending on your item, just by you being on Clubhouse and asking a question. So I think that more people need to take seriously the fact that Clubhouse is, if your ultimate goal is to build know, like, and trust, then you go to the top of the mountain when it comes to social media of what builds the most know, like, and trust. And as you climb up the mountain and you get to the top, you realize it's Clubhouse or Green Room or Twitter Spaces, or it's just social audio in general, because you get to hear people's voice, you get real feedback in real time, you get to build a relationship with people like you can't do on Instagram, like you can't do on Pinterest right now. And so that's just, if that's your ultimate goal, then that's where you should be. And I think not too many people think about it on that deep of a level. And I think if they did, a lot more people would be flooding to places like Clubhouse right now.
That is a fact, because
yeah.
it changes so much when you now think about the process of actually getting through that success story, rather than just getting there and just looking back like, yeah, there's nothing to talk about. It's different when you can actually relate with those people. So I also see the same thing in Clubhouse, because now it's like it's changed the dynamics. Before it was like, oh, we're going to be in this room and then we're going to be in this room. Now it's like, if I'm in this room, like you said, if I'm the dumbest person in this room, then I'm in the perfect place because I want to be vulnerable. I want to be able to listen, take notes, because like we teach, we learn, we coach, but like sometimes we also need to listen. And listening, I think, is a huge piece of branding that a lot of people kind of forget, and they don't realize until they are told or until something happens. So how can they realize this as we give them something that can really, they can take home tonight or take home wherever time they are in the world right now?
So it's interesting that what room were we in? They were talking about brand's reputation, and so that's what other people say.
Yeah.
So Tosin was talking about that. Man, I'm bold. I'll ask other people. I'll be like, "What do you think about us?" I'm not, and I'll be like, "I can take it." And I think we asked that question so far back that we got through the initial like shock of like when people tell you the truth. Yeah. So now it's not a big deal because like we've developed thick skin. But I think if you're comfortable going straight to the source, I think really asking other people if you're not comfortable with that, really becoming aware of, you know, how are you coming off in clubhouse rooms? How are you coming off in your interactions with other people? You know, are you speaking more than you're listening, or are you listening more than you're speaking? Like, are you smiling when you talk? Like, all of these, like, kind of just go over the basics of like, how are you interacting with people? Because ultimately the knowledge and everything like that, like most people know kind of the same information, you know, right. Very few people are like, you know, like I've read 5 million books and everything. We're all kind of within the same knowledge and expertise level, but what we're not is our communication skills, our ability to read other people, our ability to connect with other people. So I think that's a great place to start, because those are intangibles that, like, I would rather, if I was like mentoring someone, they work and learn on those kind of skills than reading books.
100%.
Uh-oh, you forgot.
Wait, let me see if I can remember it. Sorry, you're gonna have to edit this.
Not the edit.
Unless you don't want to, you can just leave it, whatever. Okay, I remember. I would just say the main tip that I would give to anyone, like if they're finally getting on Clubhouse or they're like, I need to start seeing traction, is go on there to teach and to learn. Don't go on there to sell. Because if you just go on there and you show what you're made of, like show what you know, teach what you know, share your value, just like share it all, the clients and the money will come. But I think it's you almost have to go on there and prove yourself first and show that you actually know what you're talking about. You can deliver on those results. And the people that want to work with you will reach out and they will start working with you. I think you have to switch your mindset from thinking like, I have to be like DMing all of these people and getting those leads. No, I would go on there, just add value, say my DMs are open, and you can talk, meet with people who it makes sense with, and then go on there to learn. I went into a business room because I wanted to just learn about, creating more consistent months, and I got 3 leads from it. Like, it was insane. Like 3 people who wanted to work with us. So I was like, we're at this amount, but I'd really like to increase it to this. This is my ideal client. These are my prices. People gave me great value in there, and then I got 3 leads from it. So don't worry about going on there to sell. Just go on there to give and to serve and to learn.
That's beautiful. Wow. I'm sure a lot of people are going to think about this and really think about their relationships with people, with themselves, with their significant others, and really understand and see, are we doing it right? Because we're always learning, and if you can adapt, it can be better. And one of the things that I took as well, listening as well, is that it's usually us against the problems, not us against each other. And when you start thinking that way, you now literally, you take a side, and the side is our side. So now it becomes like we're really now making sure that the other side is well taken care of because we took care of ourselves together.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Thank you for bringing
that's
that
a
up.
huge compliment, because that's always been our number one, is to show people like it's cool to be in a committed relationship. Like, it's okay. It's cool. It's safe. That's always been one of our missions, to show that like marriage is cool and it's a cool thing to do. And when you find the person that you're meant to be with, like, it can be awesome. It takes a lot of work, but it can be truly amazing.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Thank you.
We love you, Favor.
We love you too, Michael and Jill. If there's any way they can reach out to you, connect with you, what are the options they have?
Yeah, so I know we said Clubhouse, so we're pretty much Michael and Jill on all our social media platforms. So on Clubhouse, on Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everywhere. YouTube, they can just type in Michael and Jill and find us there. We are The Market Vibe, www.themarketvibe.com. So if they want to check out our website, they can find us there. But yeah, come hang out with us on all the social medias.
Amazing. Guys, make sure you're able to tap in and also check the show description. It's going to be all there in the show notes for you if you want to check them on Clubhouse. You're also going to find the hyperlinks in there, so feel free to connect because there's room for everybody. Thank you so much once again. And
Thank you.
Thanks, David. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anytime.